Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. I just wanted to bring to you a little bit more explanation about firm licensing. It is a big problem topic with the state portion of the real estate license exam. And was brought to our attention through the education department at the Real Estate Commission. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation with you, and then we will hopefully have a better understanding of what firm licensing is, what it means, how it can, how you need to know the information so that you can pass the exam. Is Mastering Firm Licensing in North Carolina. It's your comprehensive guide to passing the real estate exam, at least for the portion of questions that deals with firm licensing. Why firm licensing matters for your real estate career. There is a legal foundation to this. People need to know that if they are wanting to start a brokerage, they may or may not need a firm license. That's what I'm hoping to explain to you. Firm licensing for a business entity is required for it to legally operate a brokerage and be paid commission in a real estate transaction in North Carolina. That's right. If your brokerage requires a firm license and you don't have one, you can't legally be paid in North Carolina for practicing real estate. I know that sounds crazy, especially since you have your own individual license, but individual licenses does not cover a business entity in the state of North Carolina. Now, if you are coming from another state and you're watching this video and you are trying to get your license by just passing the state portion of the exam, and you're coming from a state that does not do firm licensing, I'm looking at you, South Carolina, this may seem foreign to you. You may not understand that not only do you as an individual need a real estate license, your business, if it's an entity, and we're going to discuss what that is, needs a license for as well. Understanding firm licensing rules is essential for passing the North Carolina real estate exam. Yes, it may be one or two, maybe three questions at the most on the exam, but if you can be strong in that subject, that's two or three more questions that you get correct. Maybe you're not so good at math. This will help you. Okay. So it's very important that you know this information. Plus, once you get your license and you move along, and maybe eventually you want to start your own business, start your own brokerage, you need to know this information. All right, so let's talk about a sole proprietor. What is it? Okay. It is a person who operates distinctly from other business entities. It is a business directly owned and operated by a single individual. Now, that does not mean there can't be other people working in or at the business. Okay. It doesn't mean that there can't be a broker in charge who has other agents working under them. We'll get to that part later, but it's not going to be a partnership. It's not going to be multiple people running the business at the same time. That's a different definition. So legally, there is no separation between the owner and the business. So when this person files their taxes, they're filing their business taxes on their own personal taxes. When you own an entity, they're separate. You do one for yourself and one for the business. When you are a sole proprietor, you do not need a firm license. Okay. An individual broker operating under their own name as a sole proprietorship is exempt from obtaining a separate firm license in North Carolina. Their individual broker's license covers their activity. So that's only if you are a sole proprietor. Personal liability, you are personally liable. Now, I'm no attorney. These are questions that you need to ask an attorney about, but as it's been told to me by an attorney, you are going to be liable not only for the business, but your personal belongings as well. If someone were to sue you, they could not only take your business assets, they could take your personal assets as well. Again, attorney question, please make sure that you consult an attorney about that. If you decide at one point in time you want to form a brokerage and you're trying to figure out whether you want to become an entity or you want to be a sole proprietor. Now, provisional brokers, that's what you'll be once you get your license. You'll be considered a provisional broker. You cannot become a sole proprietor. You must complete your post-licensing and remove that provisional status before you would be allowed to become a sole proprietor. Now, if you're thinking, ooh, I'm going to, get my license, get my post-licensing knocked out, bam, 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 within a month or two, and then I'm going to become a sole proprietor and start my own brokerage. You need to slow down just a little bit, slow your roll, because you're not going to be able to there are some activities that you can't do in your brokerage if you are a sole proprietor and you're not the BIC. If you don't have a BIC. So you can hire a BIC and own that business, that sole proprietorship, or you could even own a firm as a full licensee who doesn't have enough time to become a broker in charge. That's kind of a video for later, but you would need a broker in charge of your sole proprietorship if you want to hire any other brokers, if you want to hold a trust account, or if you want to advertise. I mean, we're talking down to business cards, signs on your car, signs in the yard, anything that advertises you as a broker. To be able to do that, you either need to be a broker in charge or be under a broker in charge. Again, that's another video for later. So right now we're just working on firm licensing and understanding what a sole proprietor is. But just make sure that you understand this is not an easy one and done kind of thing, because to become a broker in charge, you have to have at least the minimum, at least 2 years full-time brokerage experience before you're allowed to become a broker in charge. So again, another video for later. All right, so there are licensing laws and there are commission rules. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is a commission rule. It's Rule 58A0502. This is for firm licensing. Now, you do not need to know this rule number. Nobody is going to question you on rule numbers. We give them to you so you know where to find the information for yourself, because the definition for what a firm is absolutely much longer than this. I just wanted to make sure that you got the gist of it. Okay, so the commissions rule says any entity other than a sole proprietorship shall apply for and obtain from the commission a firm license prior to engaging in business as a real estate broker. You cannot have a pending disciplinary action at the time of your application. And if you change your type of entity while you are practicing, you must submit a new application so that they have all the pertinent information. You have to submit a new application because they're going to change your firm licensing, maybe to a new number. I'm not sure. Then there's licensing law. Okay. This is 93A-1. It shall be unlawful for any person, partnership, corporation, limited liability company, association, or other business entity in the state to act as a real estate broker, directly or indirectly engaging in or conducting such business without first obtaining a license issued by the North Carolina Real Estate Commission, even if licensed in another state or affiliated with a licensed broker in this state. So here you have not only a rule, but a law that states if you want to practice real estate And there is a whole nother video for that as well when you need a real estate license. There are some exemptions, but most people do not fall under those exemptions. So most people need to get a real estate license. But if you are wanting to open a brokerage and you want that legal liability to fall on your business and not you personally, then you are going to need to create an entity and you're going to need to get a firm license. Okay. So what is a business entity? The definition of a business entity is an organization created by an individual or individuals to conduct business, includes corporations, limited liability companies, or LLC, partnerships, association, joint business ventures. And I've given you definitions for all those. A joint business venture is a formal agreement between businesses to work together on a specific project or opportunity. Partners is two or more individuals that share ownership in a business. Sole proprietor, one person. Partnership, two or more. Okay. Corporation, formally incorporated business entities. Now you may see Corp or Inc. behind the name of a business. They can use either or. Some states may require them to use one or the other, but North Carolina does not. Limited liability company. It offers a flexible business structure, and you'll hear those referred to as an LLC. And then an association is an organization formed by individuals who engage in commercial activities. So if you want to create one of these, you need to go to the Secretary of State's office, file articles of incorporation, and specifically for a corporation and for an LLC, you need to make sure that you are following all the laws and the rules. You're going to hire an attorney to draw these things up for you. And once you've done that and you're doing it for the business of real estate, you would then need to go on to the North Carolina Real Estate Commission's website, fill out an application for firm licensure, and then they will decide whether they want to grant you that firm license. It's not automatic. Okay. All right. So key licensing requirements for a firm. Again, you got to do an initial applications. You must submit a comprehensive application through the North Carolina Real Estate Commission and meet all the specific eligibility criteria for licensure. You need a broker in charge, whether it be you own it, but you have someone else being your broker in charge, which is some of the way the bigger guys do it. Or you can't be the broker in charge of your firm because you don't have enough experience yet, or you don't hold a license. But a broker in charge must be designated and maintain an active broker license in good standing with the North Carolina Real Estate Commission, provide oversight for the agents. If the firm has a trust account, they're in charge of that, the oversight of that account, its reconciliation, and any advertising. There's a few other things, but for now, we'll just stick with that. Compliance and records. It is required actually by all real estate brokers, whether you're a sole proprietorship or you are a firm, for you to maintain records. You must maintain records for a minimum of 3 years. The date of when that 3 years begins and ends depends on what happened in the transaction. That's another video for later as well. Okay. Some exam topics, things that you might encounter. They're going to ask you about firm structures. Maybe they're going to say, talk about a business entity and ask whether they need a firm. Does this need a firm license? And there might be 2 yeses and 2 nos. And you need to know why. You need to know the yes and the why. Do they need one? Yes, they need one because they created a business entity. And in North Carolina, business entities are required to have a firm license. If it says something about being a sole proprietor, then the answer would be no, because sole proprietors they're not a business entity and they do not need to get a firm license. You might also encounter some broker in charge activity questions on your exam. Again, that's another video for later. And then you might also see some trust account and record retention questions, and we can do another video for that as well. Studying. You guys study, 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 study. Okay. The top North Carolina real estate schools report that first-time pass rates are around 86% for people who study. And you're going to be studying for 6 to 8 weeks. Most classes are between 6 and 8 weeks, but you need to study above and beyond class time. I tell everybody, for every hour you're in class, probably should be just about half of that, or at least that amount of time that you study on your off time if you can. Some people get it just like that. Some people, it takes a little bit longer for the information. I think your experiences also have something to do with how well you do. You only have to be 18 to get your license in North Carolina. You do not have to have a high school diploma. You don't have to have a college degree. So if you're just coming straight out of high school and decide to take the real estate exam, you might have a little bit harder time. You might not, you may not, but you might have a little harder time because you don't have any experience with purchasing a home. There may be terms you've never heard of, that kind of thing, but doesn't mean you can't pass it. I had a 19-year-old in my class. He was new. He took that class and he took it again and again until he passed. And then he was a rock star agent. And I am forever in awe of what he did while he was an agent. He decided to join the military full time, and we thank him for his service. Pro tip: candidates who complete multiple practice exams score significantly higher than those who solely rely on their content review. Practice, 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 practice. You want to take practice exams. If you can find practice exams, or if the education provider that you are taking has practice exams, do them. Any quizzes, any final exams, any final practice exams, take them. Take them multiple times until you get it all right. If you take class through CDI Real Estate Academy, we have a full program that we use, and our program includes quizzes on each section, a section exam, and then final practice state and national exams before you can take the final exam. There'll be homework within the class or class work during the class times, because putting your hands on it, touching it, actually doing it, that's how you learn. Okay. All right. So common pitfalls: role confusion. Don't confuse your broker in charge duties with standard agent duties. Don't confuse firms with a firm, which is an entity. Okay. Anyone that's created an entity is required to have a firm license. Anyone who is a sole proprietor is not required to have a firm license. Now, that is why we started using the term brokerage instead of calling everything a firm, because they're not all firms. They're brokerages. Some brokerages are firms and some brokerages are sole proprietors. And then firm record keeping is another thing that you might find on the exam that you might have a trouble with. Account rules, trust account rules, and make sure that you're not going, ooh, the national section is larger than the state portion, so I'm going to focus all my time on the national portion of the exam and go, you know what, I've got this. I can figure out the state stuff. Our state stuff is a little bit difficult. We're one of the harder exams to pass. And I'm not saying you can't do it, because I know you can. But if you practice, if you study, if you take those practice exams, you can do it. The other thing I want to stress, can't stress it enough. Sure, yeah, that's it. Can't stress this enough. You should be given in your class a syllabus, a pre-licensing syllabus. You should have one of those in your hand. If you get it online, try to print it out. Take it to a copy place and print it out so that you can write on it, take notes on it. I give my class one. You are required to get one. If you don't have one with if your education provider didn't give you one, then you can go to the Real Estate Commission's website and get a copy of it. You go to ncrec.gov, go to the education tab, and then click on pre-licensing syllabus. Download it and then print it out so you can write on it. That has so many tips. It has how many exam questions you can expect to see, whether it's on the state or the national portion. It tells you how well you need to learn that subject, and it tells you, it gives you notes, and those notes are testing points. And even though you're going to learn the math throughout, it has one whole section that tells you the type of math that you need to know. So I implore you to use your syllabus as a study guide. It is laid out like I can't think of the word. It's laid out like an outline. And so it has all the things. And I tell my class every time, when you're going through this, quiz yourself on the things that are within the different points. And if you don't know what that is, that means you need to go back. Make sure you're asking your instructor questions. If you don't have an instructor, you're taking this class by yourself in an asynchronous type manner, send me an email. I'll put my email in the description, and send me an email. I'll answer your questions for you. I hope that you've learned something. You should learn something new every day, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.